Joining me now is Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary, as well as Kellyanne Conway, former senior counsel to President Trump. Both are Fox News contributors. Kellyanne, I know you remember this trip to Puerto Rico. You might as well have thought that Melania had said something incredibly cruel to the victims of the hurricanes there, but they stayed on that story about her coat for, I think this went on for almost 2 weeks.
Well, the message on her coat was for the mainstream media, and it occurred after she had been at the border visiting with children, but that was for the mainstream media. That aside, this is the essence of who Joe Biden is. He got elected in 2020 on a false premise. I'm a moderate, I'm a unifier, I'm compassionate, I can get the job done, I'm empathetic. I've been in government for half a century, therefore I can dispense resources to people in need, like if they ever suffer from the America's greatest fire in Maui. But I don't want to excuse his conduct, Laura. I'm sick of people saying these are gaffes, that he exaggerates, he embellishes. These are flat-out lies. And who is around him to stop him? Do you know how long of a flight it is to Hawaii? We all know that. Tell the guy, hey, don't mention the house fire thing again like you did in October 2022 when people were suffering from a hurricane, because it made no sense and it's a lie. The other thing to note about Joe Biden on this is the Gold Star mom. I think this is the one that really has people upset. The Gold Star mom made a Gold Star mom because of his chaotic and irrational withdrawal from Afghanistan 2 years ago this month. She said her heart started beating fast and she started just staring into space because he said to her, Jill and I know something about your loss. Our son also came home in a flag-draped coffin.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it is tragic that Beau Biden died of cancer. But as the Gold Star mom said, he didn't die in combat. He died of cancer in Delaware. That is tragic, no doubt. But she said, at least you had a chance to be with him at the end. You robbed us of that chance. So he lies for the sake of lying. And by the way, when you're a leader, especially President of the United States, Ari knows this, he was there. Can you use the word I a lot less than Joe Biden does?
Yeah, I think all politicians need to do that. Ari, Biden's trip was covered by CNN this way.
He did serve as empathizer-in-chief after 5 days of being mostly silent on the issue publicly, but the governor said he was working behind the scenes to assure first responders that the feds had their back on this. He shared the stories we're familiar with of losing his daughter and wife and wondering if his sons had survived a car accident early in his political career, and that's what so many people here are going through now.
Ari, this is so brazen at this point. I mean, the lies keep piling up. And the media know their lies, or they're totally ignorant, and they never call them on it. This is astounding.
Yeah, Laura, what bothers me so much is Joe Biden is not an empathetic man. He's a selfish man. He's a selfish man, an old man who all he knows how to do is press play. He presses play on the same old broken tunes he's been telling for decades. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. And when someone is in the middle of bereavement, you know what they want to hear? They don't want to hear that you also had something. They don't want to hear you compare your tragedy, even if it's a kitchen fire, to their real fire. They want to hear about you. They want you to express their sympathy about what they're going through, their loss, not your cat, not your Corvette. That's what they want to hear from the president. And as for him comparing it to his house fire, I was thinking that'd be like on September 11th, George Bush or me saying that I understand what the nation's going through because somebody once broke onto my front porch and stole a package. You know, Joe Biden is just out of touch with what people think if he thinks it's about himself and his kitchen fire.
But, Kellyanne, I think this is really speaks to the overall narrative of lies. You know, it's always Trump's big lie. That's all you hear about from the media, Trump's big lie. But these are a series of lies about personal tragedies, about the economy, about how well things were going in Ukraine, and apparently not very well, sadly. And the lies keep piling up. And now the American people are left with what? An election where they're going to try to, I don't know, put everyone in masks again and send out mail-in ballots? I mean, this is where we are.
Well, it's good Republicans are going to invest in what I call the non-sexy parts of politics, Ari and Laura, which are the mechanics. Because look at Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, John Fetterman. The Democrats have no interest in elevating and electing quality human beings to high office. They have an interest in power and keeping it. So they don't tell us why to vote philosophically or even for whom, but where, how, and when. On Joe Biden, people need to remember this. He needs to be held to account. And I think every Democrat should be made to eat and own what you saw yesterday in Maui, complete disgrace, as well as all the policies. I have a little bit more faith because if you look at all of the polls, not only is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris even less popular than he, if you could believe it, not only are they underwater with their approval ratings, Laura, but they're underwater on every major issue. There's no one issue and no one attribute cares about people like me, is compassionate, has a plan, understands the middle class. There's no one attribute where he really can stake a claim and say that's the rationale for re-election. This is the first presidential election where Joe Biden in full will be litigated by the voters, and that's why he'll lose.
Hey, Ari, on this debate tomorrow night, that's going to be on Fox. Trump's obviously not going to be there. Do you think that if you were advising him, would you advise him to not attend because he's so far up in the polls? Why give Chris Christie the chance to be the punching, him being the punching bag? Or would you say, go and show your record and show who you are? What would you say?
Yeah, for the primary purposes, it'd be political malpractice for Donald Trump to show up. He has a 40, 50-point lead over his opponents. There's nothing to be gained for Donald Trump showing up in a primary. The problem he'll have, though, is what you really want as a Republican is to get almost 82-year-old Joe Biden on the stage next year. And if the precedent is set that Donald Trump didn't debate, so why should I? We'll say Joe Biden next fall. Then Donald Trump's got an inconsistency problem to deal with if he's the nominee. If it was good enough for him to skip, well, it could be good enough for Biden. And as somebody who wants America to be exposed to what an 82-year-old bumbler looks like, nothing's more important than getting Joe Biden on that stage and not giving him an excuse. So there's two sides to it, Laura. I get the short-term side, but there's a long-term damage he's doing by not showing up, at least for the first one.
That's fascinating. I hadn't thought about that. Kellyanne, really quickly, do you predict that Joe Biden will or will not debate whoever the Republican nominee is next year? Yes or no? Will he?
No, he won't. They won't let him out there. They hardly let him out there at all. We don't see much of him. And when we do, and you see, and maybe it would even mean Kamala doesn't have to debate, which of course they'd want to avoid also, because she battles a teleprompter every day and the teleprompter wins. She doesn't put in the work.
It is. Yeah.
So I can't imagine her debating another human being on policy and substance in her record. But that would be terrible. I believe debates are part of the democratic process. And we, the people, deserve to see those voters engage with each other free of charge and instantly.
Not gonna happen. All right. Ari and Kellyanne, great to see you both. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.